It didn't start with funding. It didn't start with a factory. It didn't even start with a business plan. Fluent Conveyors began the way most real industrial companies do, with grit, borrowed tools, too many unknowns, and a belief that if you can solve one painful problem for a single customer, the rest will follow. Today, we're telling the story that never makes it onto websites, the failures, the pivots, the near shutdown, and the decisions that made Fluent what it is today.
Welcome back, everybody, to Never in Reverse podcast. We are on episode 42, and we're getting close to the holidays, Doug.
We're right there.
Santa's coming your way.
Woo! Yeah.
I have a lot of gratitude for this year in general, though, man, before the holidays.
It's been a good growth year. I mean, there's, a lot of, building blocks, a lot of accomplishment, a lot of achievement, a lot of good things. I mean, a lot to be grateful for.
Guys, if you guys enjoy this journey so far, comment, connect with us on all Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, X. We'd love to hear your guys' feedback, and we're still learning a ton on this journey, and it's important for us we're trying to build a community that's basically real. We don't want to fake this stuff. And today's episode is going to kind of uncover some of that, and it's build with what you have. And Doug is going to interview. He's got a special guest today.
Yes, I do. And
you want to introduce him?
Yeah. And hey, Jeremy, thanks for joining us today on Never in Reverse. Gosh.
I'm here, dude.
Today's going to be exciting. The origin, the beginning of where this all started. I know a lot of the story because obviously Jeremy and I have been, friends before we were colleagues. And, just a little backstory on him. He's always had an entrepreneurial spirit. I knew it when we were college roommates. I knew there was just something. And if you know Jeremy and his personality, and he's running 100 miles an hour, and he's been the same way for the last 20 some years. So, but, I always knew in the back of my mind at that time, I'm like, you know what, he's going to do something. He's going to go cultivate his own of some sort someday, but no, Jeremy, I mean, ultimately it's led to this, Conveyors. I mean, where did the vision start?
Yeah, guys. So to give you guys, first of all, I started an organization, and Doug's part of our team, an integral part of our team, but organization by the name of Fluent Conveyors. And we are a custom manufacturing organization, typically serving large industrial equipment conveyance for anyone that needs, I would say, top tier premium equipment that's from a duty rating, right? Bulk handling. And the vision, man, I started in my career first out of college. I started slinging copy machines, and I'll tell you what, man, I was for a startup, and there was an opportunity to go sell software, medical sales, or copiers, and I lacked a lot of the raw skills in terms of, I would say, just interpersonal. Sometimes I tend to run through things. I still do that, but I try to slow myself down. But I wanted something that was, I honestly picked the most challenging position I could find. And the reason being is because I knew that I could sharpen skills and I could learn the business cycle. And I felt that, the organization that I chose was a startup in copiers. We didn't have a database. I had zero contacts to call. I had to go do that 100% for myself. And long story short, Greenfield, right? And I wanted to learn, and I wanted to learn the ins and outs of business. And I wanted to learn from start to finish how to execute revenue. And, I felt that was complex in its own way, and the challenge is going to be for a startup. And long story short, so I go through that, and I was there for 7 years, and I got wore out, man, to be honest. I just never felt that there was going to be this growth. I was at this ceiling of who they wanted me to be. And I started getting resentment and stuff, and I just knew that in my heart I wasn't the right fit anymore. And so I moved on and felt, and then I was ready to get out of Minneapolis, St. Paul. It was too cold for me. I just tossed my hands up, and I couldn't do it anymore, man. I was 12 years into that thing, and I was done being an iceberg.
Brutal
6 months out of the year.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, just something you've never experienced before. And so my aunt and uncle live in Colorado, and I'd gone fishing out there. And what a beautiful place. Something that related me more to Oregon, but wasn't as small as my hometown, and it could give me more access points. And so I came out here to sell software, and I sold SolidWorks software, which is like mechanical design, what we use today. And we sold it to an organization in here in Denver that did exactly what we do. And I was there for a couple of years, and long story short is I just had this itch in me, and I'd always had it, Doug. And I just felt like I was withholding my ability to be great. And that organization kickstarted it. He just lit a fire into me again. That just, I said, I can't do this for someone else anymore. I needed to, every time I cast my vision in organizations, they suppressed my ability to make them great. And my skill sets weren't being utilized at the fashion that I felt was needed. And so here we are. Something happened internally there that I didn't agree with from an integrity standpoint, two things back to back. And one was my compensation and how I was getting paid. And the other was something that I won't discuss, but it wasn't to do with me. And I just finally gave the ultimatum to that organization on the route. He picked the latter route, and here we are. So
gave you the nudge. How many years ago?
Man, what are we, 10 years in?
10 years.
10 years in, man. And we're moving at a lightning rate. And but I'll tell you what, man, that was very, very, very scary. I just met my wife, my future wife. I was a week out. Her and I just started dating. I looked at her and said, this is going to be the hardest road. I'll never forget this that you've ever experienced in your life. If you want to do it with me, great. If not, I totally understand. But I'm telling you, this is where I'm going. So you're going to be sitting in, and I was open.
And for the listeners, she's still with him today.
I don't know how.
Oh gosh.
No,
bless her soul.
It's taken a lot, man. It's she's been second fiddle for a long time, and I'm trying to maneuver that a little bit better these days, but I'm not perfect. Just the startup was a grind, man. It was something you never, ever, ever experienced in your life.
I can only imagine. I mean, what it takes to cultivate and mature and nurture and grow and investment and time and energy and sacrifice.
You're going to get things that hit you in the face. We got sued by that gentleman the first 6 months, and then he came at us again. And when we hadn't even sold anything, we were just in the design and getting the operation set up. And, it was a war, to say the least. And every step was an incremental win. And I just think, I remember I would work in 16-hour days, 7 days a week. I didn't take a paycheck for 4 years, and not a single dollar. I didn't put a drop of gas in my gas tank. And that was tough. I just grinded. I'd bartend at night and on the weekends, and I would just hustle, and I just reduced my overall personal expenses. And I just kept the mindset that, man, if I chip away every single day, it'll build it. I've done this before with other people. I'm just going to keep chipping away, and I'm going to keep chipping away. And if I win, it's going to go in and out. I'm going to chip away. And, that mindset today still doesn't, it's still with me. My chips are different, but I still feel like, and you can relate to this, Doug, we win, but we don't sit. We win, but we don't sit. We keep moving, and we're going to progress, and we're going to keep chipping away at different layers of what we envision in the future. They've changed drastically, but, my internals haven't changed. It hasn't restructured me as we've grown, as we've evolved. The shifts are different, and I think bigger. I'm thinking bigger, in who I want to be and where I want to take our team. And I guess that's it, in a nutshell, man. It's been a grind, and it still is.
Yeah. And that's, I personally have not started anything, of my own, but I was there to witness my father do it many, many times, and the struggles and trials and tribulations and, getting knocked down and getting back up, but early on, what was in your mind, what was the first success? What was the aha moment that Fluent Conveyors and we can do this? You and Ben, what was that? What was that, just that humbling moment that there was a feeling of achievement and success and solving maybe a customer's pain, or, what is the one thing that sticks out in your mind in the beginning that was like, okay, we're doing the right thing and we can do that?
I think that as an entrepreneur, you kind of go through these cycles of immaturity around what, and your ego starts messing with you. So I remember a time when we sold a project to Procter and Gamble, and I thought we just conquered the world. It's this tiny little machine. But I had related my
big brand.
But I related my ego around them, and I just thought, oh my gosh. But you know what? I look back now, and if I took my ego out of the way and I look at actually executing that project the way that we did and the customizations that we did for them, I think that was a pretty critical moment. Like, hey, listen, we can do this, and we have the right team to do this at that moment, right? And I think that, I always believed in myself. I had some doubts early on, but then I just remember my fear set out, and I just looked at myself in the mirror, and I would do that every morning. And I would say, what can I control today that I can deliver something that will be a building block for the future? And that's all I did. And I didn't think about anything else. I didn't project, what entrepreneurs, this is going to be so easy. And sometimes it is, but this wasn't. I tried to make sure that I just moved the needle a little bit every single day with what I could control, and just started building the building blocks on top of one another from, when we invested $8,500 a piece, guys, and that was it, and a dream and hope and grit. And I think that's what was it, man. Just the ability to grit.
Yeah. Was there an embarrassing moment was there a moment where you were just like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this?
No, I think sometimes it's like, exhausted, right? Like, I think the embarrassment of not being able to deliver a owner's manual, right? Like, that was like, oh shoot, we don't even have one of those things. You should have saw our first one. It looked like a clip art. I look at her. Did I show you our first serial number?
Yeah. No, I've seen it. I've seen, I remember the first brand, the first logo that you shared with me. And I mean, yeah, it's cultivated and it's grown, obviously, but but still those milestones, and that comes with, tweaking the vision, being nimble and seeing opportunity and growth and adaptable. It's not just, because we've all worked for organizations where things get into place and it just stays there and it's stagnant and it doesn't evolve, and things are always evolving in many
I've always
facets,
made it. I made it here. I made it, right?
Yeah.
That's how I've always worked. I mean, I always worked in organizations that either you didn't start this, it's none of your business, shut your mouth, or
no, you're rolled.
This is how we do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Were there capital expenses early on that you avoided? I mean, because cash flow, obviously, in a young organization, you have to make sacrifices of, what you can afford now versus later. I mean, we didn't have
insurance when we sold our first machine.
Ouch.
You want to try that on?
Yeah, that's scary.
But we did right away, right? I would say the avoidance was, focus on revenue. Don't worry about the peripheral stuff. Work with what you got. We started this thing with four people, and we just didn't work out, right? That's a lot of people to manage in terms of members, and the deck of cards fell where they fell, which is actually perfect the way that it works now between Ben and myself. But I would say that, cash flow for me was keep executing against trying to sell and keep establishing the brand however we could to benefit the future. So invest. I mean, that just keep investing and making, and we made bad decisions, but try to minimize, like, hey, is this going to work 5 years down the road? Does this, right. and sometimes, I mean, there's decisions that didn't work. There's people that you went with that didn't work to try to move the needle, but that's just a tax to doing business. Your decisions are never going to be perfect. We made one last year, Doug, and we're mature. We made a bad mistake last year. You were part of it, but guess what? Like, that's just a tax. If we just went, we can never do that again, and we had alligator arms, the tax to do that would never get us where we're going today. So I don't drag that stuff along. I'll remember it. I remember it. I remember it, but I'm not gonna, resent a decision or think back, well, man, what if we would have done this with that? That's all blue sky because it's already happened and it's part of our journey. And I think the expenses and worried about is it building the infrastructure for the brand, and can it drive revenue, or that's all I was focused on, the brand, revenue, the brand, getting it out there, positioning. That was it.
Yeah.
Nothing else. Engineering was secondary, yes. Because without revenue, you don't even have an engineering department. So
we need to create a heartbeat.
We got to get that heartbeat going first to support them delivering. And I look back now and I'm like, man, we did it. I think we did it right. we kept building that structure and then, man, it was like time and effort into the vendor relations and making sure we have those people on board, and do we have the right people on board? Are they going to be able to support us? And that's evolved, right? Because we've grown. As we grow, it's hard to have one vendor support you. So, I'd say
your
the
initial focus when you got when you guys first started this, I mean, did you see, because most startups, they have a vision, they see a niche, they see an area of opportunity, and they streamline, they focus, they hone in on that. I mean, did you guys have a niche or a particular piece? And because conveyors can be many different industries. I mean, many different verticals. I mean, was there a plan of attack, a focus, an area that you guys were trying to hone in on, or was it just, we're going to be broad, we're going to be open?
We're going to be open. I think it's just open to the elements. I think that once we got served with that lawsuit, it kind of hindered our ability. But I just felt that if that other person was able to execute that for the period of time that they were able to do it, why can't I? Because I knew my skill set and I knew what I could do.
And you knew what you were competing against.
And I knew, I knew what wasn't allowed to happen there. So you have a delta of a ceiling that was capped there, but he's there for a certain period of time. That was a long period of time. And I felt like, well, man, if that's the ceiling there, that's been there for 30 years and that's the ceiling, I can far exceed that. I believe that in myself. Like now I knew it was going to take some time. Did I know it was going to take this long? No. But part of that was just the evolution of us, just building that trust and that cycle of consistent deliverables and evolving and showing that progression. So I just knew at that point in time that 30 years of that, I can do better. That's all it came down to. And I didn't evaluate the niche. I didn't do some SWOT analysis. I just went 30 years. I can do that. But if that's a base.
Right. And I think, in knowing you and knowing, what is part of our DNA and our culture, it's customer relations, it's service, and on the outside looking in, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that it was a large part of the vision is where you can build customer relations deeper, more value, trust, because at the end of the day, we're problem solvers, right? And we're here to give support and solve problems. And I think that was, looking back and knowing you, that was probably a huge area of focus in the very beginning from the get-go,
I would say the raw, all it came down to was integrity, dude.
Mm-hmm.
That honestly, that word right there, that's all I could see that wasn't happening, is just living a true life of integrity and authenticity as a leader, to deliver on the outside world what you say. And no, it's just what you say, dude. Back it up. Like, back up what you say. I just felt there was a massive disconnect from what I could see, stepping on people, saying one thing and doing the other for a profit. And I've told you, I said one statement before early on with you, and I said, we always do what, Doug? What do we put first?
Customers first.
People before profit.
People before profit. Yep.
And that doesn't mean that that's always the case, because we're going to be humanistic and we're going to run a business, but we're going to put ourselves in their shoes and try to figure out how we can work as a unit together so that we all can be successful. And when you do that, the backside becomes 10x of what you thought. It becomes a much bigger story than what you ever thought, because they will remember that. They remember how you made them feel. They remember steps, but there's responsibility, and we do it to this day. You don't need you just happen on your end. You don't need my blessings to do it. It's just, I want our team to always live that way. And if we do, the profit will grow. It might not be during that moment. You might not see it as a one-to-one, but on the backside, it'll become part of a bigger story. And I think it's something that's important for me. It's important for me. So, just integrity. Don't remember what you said, because you just live it. If you just live it in your personal life and you live it here, you never have to worry about what you do or say. And that's the way I envision this. So, and we're not perfect in alignment. Like, sometimes we might project something that we're living through, but on the outside world might not work out the way that we thought. So but we're going to adjust that in layers of reuse of integrity to get reset to the moment. So if we're late on a lead time or whatever, I always try to get reset the calibrations to be on the front end of integrity. Listen, we're not hitting that date. That's on me, or something else happened, but we're still going to own it, and then get back into alignment with that customer without hiding. Don't wait till the day of. Don't ship something that doesn't follow our process, right?
Right.
Hit them on the front end. We're going to be a couple days late, but here's why, and it's important to understand this. If they don't like that, at least you were honest.
Yeah, because it's not always a perfect world. There's
No.
there's hurdles, there's speed bumps, but it's being truthful, it's being upfront, but also it's making sure you can deliver the end result
Yes.
that is promised.
Yep.
100%.
100%.
And fulfillment. In startups and when organizations are getting started, and obviously the revenue is the heartbeat of keeping things going or keeping the lights on. I mean, were there faults that you guys felt early on of just trying to capture and chase every opportunity? When did you realize it's like, I can't be everything to everybody? When was that aha moment where it's like, okay, now I can refine and streamline and stay focused on areas that we're good at and quit trying to be everything to everybody?
I'd say like 4 years ago, because what happened is we got a bunch of stuff that we could be great at, and the ability to be great at that showed me that it's not possible when you're focused on so many different things. There was a couple projects that hit us, and it was just oh my gosh, to be honest, I was drinking alcohol more than I've ever drank in my life because that was my fix. And I think that, oh my gosh, dude. And I'll never forget that moment, but I just knew that we couldn't be great because we weren't great. Right. And that's it. We were chasing so many different styles of custom conveyors and crap like that, man, we got stuff that we should be great at. And I just realized that we weren't great.
We got to get more
stressful.
focused.
Like, how are we still so stressed during this? But I look now I look at the things that I turn away quite often to keep us great.
Well, and it's maturity, it's maturity, and it's growth, and it's evolution, and you look back at, you can't be everything to everybody. You can't be an inch deep, a mile wide, no traction. If you want success and greatness, you gotta focus and hone in, and you and I have talked,
Dude,
for years, even before I came on board, and it was just sharpening that knife, just sharpening that edge all the time consistently, and getting more focused and more adaptable. But you can't, you got to go through that learning experience,
you don't see like Floyd Mayweather. He's not in there doing jujitsu.
No, he's working on his jab.
Because it's
he's
working
on his jab.
You don't see, track athletes running. They're not doing every event. Mostly at the greatest, they're not the best at it. They focus, and there's some that are blessed more than others, but majority of them are very niche focused. And to me, that's the most important thing. And I think I do a pretty good job. Now we're gonna stay focused, or I've kind of got you, and like, man, that's not our niche, dude. That's not where we can be great at. Yeah, it's revenue, but I know what that chasing looks like, and I know what the backside could look like.
The stress and
that stuff can hinder your ability to be great, especially during moments of moving forward and growing. And I'd rather focus on processes and procedures and implementation of where we could be even greater at than chasing revenue. Because my time spent into the greatness will double in the back end. Might not be 1-to-1, might not be next month, but the next time we get consistent jobs, those will be easier. And then we're going to go, oh my gosh, we're getting great. Otherwise, we're going to be going, we're going to be stressed out like we were the last time we did it.
Right. But it's ultimately that customer experience, that journey that you
100%.
want nothing but great end results and experience, because the opportunities repeat themselves, the referrals, the word of mouth of, what the organization is and who they are and their fabric, their DNA, and, it's building those layers of trust. But it comes through time and experience.
Yeah, just focus on where you can be great. And then just
I got one question for you.
Yeah.
Here, I know we're kind of getting toward the end here. if you were to go back and do it all over again,
Mhm.
what would you do differently?
Nothing.
Nothing.
I wouldn't change the world. I change the amount of time I give my wife and my family.
Yeah.
That's what I would do.
Yeah.
I would
A lot of
change
sacrifice.
I would change those little moments that I missed. Honestly, I'd change those. If I could go back, that's what I'd do. There's one thing that I will not regret, and that's bringing you on to roast you every day. So,
Oh gosh, yeah.
oh, buddy,
yeah,
bro, beat him.
all day, every day. It's kind of nice being on this side. I get to.
I know, dude. You can you don't have to
just
take it.
Pull information from you.
No, so I think the biggest thing overall, just in this discussion, is just layer in your complexity. Quit chasing money. You're not going to be the next millionaire without doing the work. I think they say like 5. I don't even know what the percentage of companies in manufacturing that actually make it over a certain period of time, but 5 years, it's like half of 80% of them I think are dead. And the reason being is they're not clear on their focus, or they're not doing the grit, or and the grit is just when no one's looking, man, just pay attention to the mirror in you, because that's all that matters. The external world that comes at you is out of your control. All you can do as an entrepreneur is get up. If you're not seeing the success, get up earlier, change your ways.
Yeah.
Don't
sacrifices.
Don't complain. What the external world is not buying it. We've had some things that we've done that they didn't buy it. It's shelved it for a second. It's not done. It's just not now. And now the market's evolving, and it's a perfect time. And we're going to get back to those things. But the market didn't. That's an excuse to the market, right? Like adapt, learn. We always ask, hey, continual improvement methods. Like, what can we do to make this better? How can we manufacture faster? How can we manufacture more accurate? Are the prints matching the product? Etc. Remain agile.
Getting in the trenches, listening to the customers, get the feedback, and improve. Let them be the critics. Yeah,
100%. So,
yep.
But no, thanks for the question.
No, thanks, man. No, it's entrepreneurs and their journeys and their stories are fascinating, and ones that have had success or ones that have had failures. But I mean, it takes a lot of courage to, dive into the unknown and, the sacrifices that are given. And I think a lot of people don't, understand what that looks like and what that pain and that experience is. But when you've got a vision and you want to get somewhere and you see opportunity, what sacrifices it's going to take to get there. I know through your experience and what you've given and sacrificed, to get this organization, you and Ben, into the position that it's in, in the vision that's cultivated and where we're going. And it's been a fun experience. It's been fun to watch.
Buddy, we got a long way to go with where we're heading, but and Doug, I appreciate that. I think that
enjoying the ride.
I just think it comes down to where we're heading on this podcast, and I truly mean that. I think when that name got dropped and it was never in reverse, I think you and I were like, oh my gosh, that's perfect.
That hits home.
And I think that's just who I am. It's who I've been since I've been a little kid. I've always been the underdog. I've always been pushing forward. And I think that a lot of people and viewers out there can probably relate to that. Man, you don't have to remain you don't have to remain on the bottom. And if it's important to you and your family or wherever you're going or whatever your experience, just know that you can
embrace
push forward
the challenge
and push forward, man, and get up and do the work. And don't look for affirmation. Just do the work, push forward, and the rest. It might not come at the timeline you envisioned, but it will come, and it might come in a different way that you envisioned. But something else, just with continual progression and moving forward, something's gonna change, right? I see a lot of different ways of winning and moving forward that isn't always related to revenue, and I find a lot of joy in that. Honestly, when I see people growing and pushing past excuses or something that's hurting them or holding back within us and them, and I see them push through that to me is just, I laugh. I'm like, dude, that's awesome. I think that's so much better than just focusing on revenue generating activities, but they're taking complete ownership in who they are as a human being. And then, because what's going to happen is that's going to push us and our team forward. And so I know it's going to push bigger than I ever thought, right? If we can all embrace that thought. Yep. So always pushing
on the challenge. Yeah. No, well, thanks, man. No, I really appreciate you, sharing the story and, just kind of the beginning of the trials, the tribulations, and, the fun growth and moments throughout the journey. But
thanks for being part of it, Doug.
no, and I'm your co-host.
Best is yet to come, buddy. Come on.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah. But no, thanks for tuning in, guys. Find us on, Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your content, we're out there. Like, subscribe, leave comments. Love to hear your journey, what trials, tribulations, adversity you've overcome. We're all growing. We're still growing, learning, maturing. But no, thanks for tuning in today.
And one last thing, don't forget that it doesn't matter. I mean, there's more success coming from the garage, and don't worry about your building. Don't worry about all the peripheral things that your competitors have. Those who start in the garage have a success rate that's I think it's 40 to 50 or 60% greater than those who don't. So don't compare. Focus on where you're at and just chip away. Because those people have the grit's coming from that, right? That no one's looking in your garage for you. So don't forget it.
Yes.
Thank you, guys. Till next time. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Jeremy.